Captain Alex Carter awoke to silence. Cold, unfeeling silence. The hum of the spaceship's engines had stopped, and all he could hear was the faint sound of his breath in the empty cockpit. His eyes opened slowly, adjusting to the dim, red emergency lighting that bathed the room in a soft, ominous glow. For a moment, he thought it was a dream, a nightmare. But the pain in his head was real. The crash was real. "Sarah," he whispered, struggling to sit up. His co-pilot, Lieutenant Sarah Moore, was nowhere to be seen. Panic surged through Alex's chest as he unstrapped himself from the cockpit seat, his hands trembling as they searched the console for any signs of life. The display screen was shattered, but there were still flickers of data scrolling across the damaged interface. "Sarah," he called out again, his voice louder this time. The thought of her, his trusted partner, crushed under debris, filled him with dread. He unclipped himself from his harness and stumbled toward the rear of the ship. The ship had been hit hard, and the cockpit was just the beginning. The forward hull had been severely damaged, and the walls of the ship were scarred from the brutal impact. There was a metallic taste in the air, and it reeked of burnt ozone. "Sarah," Alex shouted once more, moving quickly through the ship's narrow passageways. His footsteps echoed eerily in the quiet as he reached the small crew area. The lights flickered, casting strange shadows across the walls. He spotted her body lying near the galley, unconscious but breathing. Relief washed over him for a split second before the grim reality hit him. They were stranded. The ship was in ruins, and Sarah was out cold. The crash had left them in an unknown part of space, far from any familiar systems, and the distance between them and Earth was incalculable. They were on their own. Alex knelt beside Sarah, quickly checking her vitals. Her pulse was weak, but steady. The crash had knocked her unconscious, but she wasn't gone. He could save her, but they needed help. They needed to get out of here. He grabbed a med kit from the nearby shelf and began treating her injuries. With every minute that passed, the situation grew more dire. The ship was not going to last much longer. There was no communication signal, no way to contact headquarters or Earth. No one knew they were out here. They were alone. Minutes turned to hours, and Alex managed to stabilize Sarah as best as he could. He needed to get the ship back online, at least enough to send a distress signal. He didn't know where they were, but there had to be someone who could help them. The fact that the ship had been attacked, ambushed, lingered in his mind. The aliens, whatever they were, had to have done this. They had been out exploring the uncharted region of space when they'd been struck, but it didn't make sense. They had done everything by the book, following protocol. No one could have predicted this. Alex took a deep breath and wiped the sweat off his brow, determined. His mission was simple: survive, keep Sarah alive, and find a way home. But as the minutes ticked away, he realized that the task ahead was anything but simple. It was hours later when Alex managed to drag himself out of the wreckage and onto the station's surface. The emergency doors had opened with a screeching sound, and a cold gust of wind hit him in the face. The station's environment was freezing. Utterly barren, lifeless, and cold. The ground beneath his feet was frozen rock, and the icy landscape stretched as far as the eye could see. He couldn't see anything beyond the snowy plains and jagged mountains, and in the distance, a looming ice volcano erupted in slow motion, throwing fragments of snow and rock into the air. Alex felt the weight of the situation press down on him as he looked around. They were not on a planet. This wasn't any known moon or asteroid. This was an alien station, and it was abandoned. How the hell did we end up here? Alex muttered to himself, trying to get a grip on the reality of it all. He had no answers, no explanations, only the cold, empty space surrounding him. He scanned the station's exterior through his helmet visor, hoping to find some kind of clue, something that could tell him who or what had left this place in ruin. The ice-covered exterior of the station was enormous, sprawling across what seemed like miles of land. The architecture was like nothing Alex had ever seen before, curved, alien, and constructed with technology beyond anything humanity had ever encountered. The metallic surface of the structure gleamed against the harsh light of distant stars. Whoever had built this place, whatever they were, had long since abandoned it. Alex looked down at his damaged suit, knowing he couldn't afford to stay out here long. He needed to get inside, find shelter, and then figure out how to fix the ship. But the longer he stayed, the more the feeling of unease gnawed at him. The station didn't look just abandoned. It felt wrong. Like something had gone horribly wrong. Something that had driven whatever race had once lived here to abandon the place. He made his way to the station's entrance, a massive circular door embedded in the wall. He tried to pry it open with his bare hands, but couldn't get it to budge. There had to be a control panel, a way to open it manually. He dug through the snow and debris near the base of the door and found a console half buried beneath layers of frost. It looked like it was still operational, the small blinking lights indicating life. "Come on," Alex muttered, wiping away the frost and trying to access the console. The words were indecipherable, alien symbols, a language he couldn't understand. But Alex wasn't about to let that stop him. He took out his emergency toolkit and began to work, reconnecting wires, forcing power to the system. With a click, the door groaned and slowly began to open, revealing the cold, dark interior of the station. Alex stepped inside, feeling the chill bite at his skin. The atmosphere inside was much colder than he expected. The lights flickered above, casting long, eerie shadows down the hallways. His helmet's flashlight illuminated parts of the walls, revealing strange, glowing symbols etched into the surface. The air was still, with no signs of life anywhere. He cautiously moved deeper into the station, his eyes scanning the walls for any sign of danger. The silence was overwhelming, and as he walked deeper, the feeling that something was wrong grew stronger. The station was technologically advanced, far more sophisticated than anything he had ever seen. Yet, it was empty. There were no signs of the inhabitants, no clues as to why they had left. His heart raced as he began to search the rooms, one by one. Empty chambers, silent control rooms, and discarded equipment. But one thing kept bothering him. The systems were still running. Whoever had built this station had left behind an enormous amount of advanced technology. And if they had fled, why hadn't they shut it all down? It wasn't until Alex found the central control room that he began to understand the gravity of the situation. There, in the middle of the room, was an enormous holographic display. The alien symbols flickered, and as he approached, the system powered on, revealing a map of the galaxy with coordinates he didn't recognize. There were markers scattered across the screen, and one of them was flashing red. The flashing red marker was pointed directly at the location of the ship he had been on. His heart skipped a beat as he realized that the alien system had been tracking him the entire time. Suddenly, the hairs on the back of his neck stood on end. The feeling of isolation he had been suppressing hit him full force. The aliens weren't just gone, they were watching. And they knew exactly where he was. Alex stood in the eerie glow of the alien station's control room, staring at the holographic map that stretched across the console in front of him. His fingers hovered over the controls, unsure of where to start. The vast emptiness of the station stretched before him, the silence pressing in from all sides. There was no sign of life, no answers, only alien technology and abandoned equipment. He had hoped, even briefly, that the alien race who had created this place might return. But now, alone in the depths of space, it was clear they had left it behind. Abandoned. The feeling of isolation pressed heavier with every passing moment. There was no way to communicate with Earth, no way to even get a distress signal out. The crash had destroyed their ship, and Sarah, his co-pilot, his best friend, was still unconscious, lying back in the wreckage of the ship. Even with his best efforts to stabilize her, she remained unconscious, her life hanging by a thread. Every time he looked at her, The reality of their situation hit him harder. But he couldn't afford to despair. Sarah needed help. They both needed help. Alex had worked tirelessly to gather supplies from the wrecked ship, but the resources were limited. The alien station, however, presented a different kind of opportunity. The technology was unlike anything he had seen before, advanced, strange, and both beautiful and terrifying in its complexity. It wasn't going to be easy, but Alex knew one thing for certain: he was going to rebuild. The first step in his plan was to stabilize the power systems. The station's energy levels were fluctuating, with only a fraction of its capabilities online. Without a stable power supply, there was no way to communicate or access the essential systems. Alex found the power control room deep within the station, buried beneath layers of ice and debris. Inside, the cold hit him like a slap to the face. But he didn't flinch. The station was ancient, its power grid weak, yet he could feel the residual hum of energy beneath his fingertips. He could work with this. He could make it work. The power conduits and panels looked alien, sleek, incomprehensible, and intricate. The wiring was designed for a species with a completely different understanding of technology. Alex stared at the mess of circuits and panels before him. It was like looking at an unsolvable puzzle, but his mind was a maze of solutions, connecting dots in ways that seemed impossible. He took a deep breath, adjusted his gloves, and started working. Hours passed as Alex methodically worked his way through the system. He used parts from the wrecked ship, scavenging where he could, and applying his skills to reverse engineer the alien technology. Slowly but surely, the power grid came back to life. The lights flickered, grew steady, and the hum of energy coursed through the station once more. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. The station's eye, which had remained dormant since the crash, suddenly sprang to life, its voice low and robotic. "Welcome, operator. Systems are now partially restored. How may I assist you?" Alex jumped at the voice, startled but relieved. "You're still online?" he asked, his voice rough from the isolation. "Affirmative. Systems have been damaged, but not entirely shut down. Scanning. Scanning complete. Power systems online. Communication systems offline. Life support systems operational." Alex's eyes widened as he took a deep breath. Life support. Are there still? No living organisms detected. Only one biological entity detected. Human. Inactive. Life signs unstable. His heart skipped a beat. Sarah. Affirmative. She remains in critical condition. Medical assistance required. Alex turned, determination fueling his every step. He needed to get to her. He needed to make sure she was alive, that she would survive long enough for him to complete his mission. He rushed back to the wreckage of their ship, where Sarah lay still and pale. He found her, unconscious but breathing. He checked her vitals again. Weak, but still there. There was hope. Days passed in a blur as Alex worked tirelessly to restore the station. The work was grueling. He scavenged parts from every corner of the ship and station, often working through the night, repairing broken systems, reprogramming alien interfaces, and trying to understand the strange technology that surrounded him. Each day, the station grew a little more functional, and with each new success, his hope grew. Sarah remained unconscious. Her breathing was steady, but she wasn't waking up. Alex didn't have the medical resources he needed, but he did everything he could. He set up the med bay, used the station's rudimentary medical systems to stabilize her further, and kept her alive. He was a human engineer, and that meant adapting to whatever the circumstances threw at him. One afternoon, while working on the core system, Alex stumbled upon something that made his blood run cold. As he accessed the central data files, he found an encrypted message, a warning. It was in a language he couldn't understand, but the symbols were unmistakable. He studied them carefully, slowly deciphering the code. It was a distress signal from the aliens. The message revealed something horrifying. The alien species that had built the station had not left by choice. They had been forced to abandon the station due to an attack by an unknown, far more powerful race. The station's systems had been designed to be autonomous, able to operate on their own without the need for constant supervision. But now, Alex realized the alien species was gone. And worse, the attackers were still out there. They would eventually return to claim the station. They would come for what they had lost. Alex's stomach twisted as the implications sank in. The aliens had left him here, stranded, but not out of malice. They had been forced to abandon the station to protect themselves. Now, he was caught in the aftermath of their war, and the very beings who had destroyed the station's creators were still hunting for it. They would stop at nothing to take it back. He sat back, his mind racing. The station, once a place of desolation, now felt like a ticking time bomb. His only chance was to finish rebuilding it, and fast. He couldn't let the aliens return without being prepared. They would come looking for the technology he had no right to possess, and if they found him unprepared, they would destroy him and everything he had worked to rebuild. That night, Alex didn't sleep. He worked through the night, moving from one station to the next, upgrading the defense systems, reinforcing the station's outer walls, and ensuring that the core was operating at full capacity. His mind raced as he implemented the last of his changes, modifying the energy conduits to power the station's weapon systems. He needed to make it a fortress, one that could hold its own against whatever might come. Sarah remained unconscious, but Alex knew he couldn't afford to wait any longer. She needed him. He needed to finish what he had started. The next morning, Alex heard a faint hum through the station speakers. The AI's voice broke the silence. Warning. Unknown vessel detected. Coordinates unknown. Vessel approaching at high speed. Unknown alien signatures. Alex's heart raced. They were here. He rushed to the command center, his hands shaking as he activated the defense systems. He had prepared for this moment. The station's defenses, once weak and vulnerable, were now fully operational. The automated drones launched from hidden bays, and the massive turrets on the exterior of the station powered up ready to engage. The aliens had returned. The station's hum grew louder as Alex stared at the glowing holographic map in front of him. The AI's warning echoed in his ears, a constant reminder of the impending danger. Unknown vessel detected. Coordinates unknown. Alien signatures confirmed. He could feel his pulse quicken as the words sunk in. The aliens who had once abandoned him here, who had left their station to rot, were returning. And they weren't coming with a peaceful hand. They were coming for the technology he had rebuilt, the systems they had abandoned, and everything Alex had worked so tirelessly to restore. He gripped the console tightly, his knuckles turning white. The station's defenses were still in the early stages of their power-up, but they were the only thing standing between him and certain death. His only advantage was the station's advanced technology, something the aliens hadn't fully anticipated. He was no longer the helpless, stranded engineer. He was the defender of a powerful fortress, a human who had taken alien ingenuity and turned it into a weapon. Alex quickly activated the defense systems, each one lighting up across the station like a living organism. The automated drones rose from their hidden bays, their sleek, deadly forms ready for combat. The station's massive turrets, which he had spent countless hours repairing, powered up with a low, menacing rumble. He watched the various readouts as the energy surged through the system, bringing the station to full alert. Station defenses activated, ready for deployment. The AI intoned calmly, though its voice betrayed a hint of unease. Alex barely registered the AI's response. His thoughts were focused solely on the incoming threat. He needed more time to finish what he had started, more time to prepare. He had no idea how many aliens were coming, but he knew that the creatures who had once dominated the station were not to be underestimated. The aliens were skilled, and their technology was far superior to anything humanity had achieved. But Alex had something they didn't: human ingenuity. He moved quickly, setting up the last of the weapon systems. The AI offered him a list of possible defensive measures, but Alex dismissed them. He was improvising now, using the alien systems in ways that even the AI had never considered. His fingers flew across the console as he connected various energy systems, rerouted power, and activated hidden weapons caches. The station was becoming a fortress in every sense of the word. Outside, the warning lights blared, and the station's automated systems began tracking the alien vessel's movement. The vessel was big, far larger than any human ship Alex had seen. It was clearly built for war, with sleek, metallic surfaces reflecting the cold light of the distant stars. The alien ship drifted closer, and Alex could feel its presence, like a shadow cast across his world. The AI interrupted his thoughts. Enemy vessel is within range. Preparing for launch sequence. Defensive shields at 75%. Alex took a deep breath. He could hear the hum of the power systems now, steady and unyielding. The station was alive, responding to his every command. The turrets began to turn, swiveling toward the approaching alien ship. Alex could feel his heart pounding in his chest. He didn't have the luxury of waiting to see what the aliens would do. He had to act now. The first volley of alien fire hit the station's shields with a deafening boom. The station shuddered under the impact, but the shields held strong. Alex could hear the AI's voice, calm and clinical, despite the chaos outside. Shield integrity at 85%. Alien fire detected. Impact in Sector C12. Engaging countermeasures. Alex quickly scanned the control room's readouts. The shields were holding. But for how long? The aliens were relentless, and they had far more firepower than the station's defenses could handle for long. He needed to buy time. AI, engage the drones. Keep them distracted, Alex commanded, his voice sharp. Affirmative, the AI responded without hesitation. Drones deployed, weapons activated, preparing evasive maneuvers. The drones shot out of their launch bays like a swarm of hornets, swarming the alien ship. They darted and weaved, firing pulse blasts at the larger vessel. The alien ship retaliated with laser beams that cut through the drones, disintegrating them in flashes of light. But Alex didn't need the drones to win. He needed them to stall. The alien ship fired again, its beams striking the station's outer hull, this time weakening the shield by a few percentage points. Alex's eyes narrowed as he watched the damage spread across the station's systems. He could hear the hum of the power grid as it struggled to compensate for the damage. Time was running out. Alex moved quickly, jumping from one console to another, coordinating the station's remaining defenses. His mind raced. He had no doubt the aliens would eventually breach the outer defenses. The station's shield would fail, and when that happened, the station would be defenseless. He needed to get to the central core. Only there could he release the full power of the station's weaponry. Can you initiate a full power surge to the weapon systems? Alex asked, hoping for the best. The AI paused for a moment before responding. Power surge initiated. However, I advise caution. A surge of that magnitude could destabilize the core. Alex didn't have time to think about the risks. He had to push forward. Do it. The room was filled with a low, rising hum as the core began to glow brighter. The entire station seemed to tremble, and Alex could feel the energy coursing through his veins. His hands gripped the console, his heart beating in time with the surging power. The alien vessel was just moments away from breaching the outer defenses, and when it did, Alex knew it would be a race against time. The AI's voice broke through his thoughts. Weapons systems charge. Full power engaged. Firing sequence ready. Without hesitation, Alex activated the station's weapons. A massive concentrated beam of energy shot out from the station's main turret, aimed directly at the alien vessel. The beam hit with a force that rocked the station, and for a moment, Alex was blinded by the flash of light. The alien ship staggered under the attack, its shields flickering, but they held. Alex could see the ship's hull beginning to crack under the pressure, the armor unable to withstand the intensity of the blast. The alien vessel retaliated with another wave of fire, this time aimed directly at the station's core. Core integrity at 60%, the AI announced, as alarms blared throughout the control room. Shield power failing. Impact imminent. Alex cursed under his breath, watching as the alien ship moved in for the final blow. He knew he couldn't keep up this fight forever. The station's systems were already on the verge of failure, but he wasn't going to let the aliens win. Not after everything he had sacrificed to rebuild this place. He wasn't just fighting for his survival, he was fighting for humanity's future. He glanced at the console and saw something. A weak point in the alien ship's armor, a flaw in the ship's defensive systems. With one last, desperate push, Alex redirected the station's energy toward a focused point, aiming directly for the weak spot. The beam shot out again, stronger this time, and hit the alien ship directly in its vulnerable area. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, with a deafening explosion, the alien ship's hull cracked open, and the vessel began to break apart, its engines sputtering and sparks flying. Alex exhaled in relief, but he didn't have time to celebrate. The alien ship was destroyed, but the battle wasn't over. There would be more. The aliens would return, and next time, they might bring reinforcements. "Aye," Alex said, his voice steady. "Begin preparations for a full station lockdown. They'll be back." "Affirmative," the AI responded. Lockdown sequence initiated. As the dust settled, Alex stood in the control room, staring out at the wreckage of the alien ship, knowing that this was only the beginning. The station, rebuilt by his hands, had survived its first test. But as the station hummed around him, Alex knew it was only a matter of time before the aliens returned. And next time, he would be ready. The alien ship was gone. The twisted wreckage drifted into the cold void of space, a testament to the power of human ingenuity. The battle had been fierce, an all-out war between Alex and the alien invaders who once controlled the station. Yet, against all odds, he had won. The station was his, and humanity's strength had proven to be more than a match for the advanced technology of the alien species. Alex stood in the control room, staring out at the void of space, his chest heaving with exhaustion. The faint hum of the station's power systems, now fully operational, surrounded him like the comforting beat of a heart. He wiped sweat from his forehead, his fingers shaking slightly. His clothes were torn and soiled from the chaos of the battle, but the station was still standing, a testament to his resilience. He had done it. He had rebuilt the alien station from the ground up. And now it was his. He had used its advanced technology, repurposed it, and turned it into a powerful weapon against the very species that had abandoned him. His heart swelled with a mixture of pride and relief, but even as the victory settled over him, a gnawing unease began to creep back into his mind. He knew this was just the beginning. As the hours passed, Alex moved through the station, checking the systems and reinforcing the defenses. He had no illusions. The aliens would not simply accept defeat. Their mission to reclaim the station had failed for now, but they were relentless. They would come again, and next time, they would be better prepared. Alex needed to be ready. He needed to finish what he had started, fortify the station, prepare for any new threats, and most importantly, ensure that the power he had harnessed was enough to protect him and Sarah. Sarah. Alex paused for a moment, her name echoing in his mind. She had been unconscious for so long, her injuries from the crash keeping her from waking. But he had managed to keep her alive. He had done everything he could, using the station's limited medical systems to stabilize her. But she needed more than that. She needed to wake up. She needed to see that they had won. That they were no longer stranded in this alien place. They were going to make it. Alex entered the med bay, his heart heavy with the weight of his emotions. Sarah lay motionless on the examination table, her face pale but peaceful. He could see the faint rise and fall of her chest, a sign that she was still alive. He had to believe that she would wake up soon, that the medical systems would do their job, and that she would be there to stand beside him when the next challenge arrived. But as he stood there, watching her, the air around him grew colder, as if the temperature in the room had dropped several degrees. A strange sensation prickled down his spine, and for a moment, he felt as though he was being watched. He turned sharply, expecting to find something in the shadows, but there was nothing. Nothing, except for the soft flicker of the station's systems. A chill ran through him as he realized something was wrong. The station, which had been humming with life, now seemed off. The lights flickered once again, casting long shadows across the walls. The AI's voice, which had been reassuring and steady, now sounded strained, as if it were struggling to maintain control. "Alex." The AI's voice crackled through the speakers. "Something is wrong. The systems, they are being overridden." Alex's heart skipped a beat. "What do you mean?" he demanded, rushing to the nearest console. The AI's voice was growing weaker, almost distorted. "The aliens. They've done something," the AI replied. "There is a secondary system embedded in the station. It has been activated." Alex's eyes widened in disbelief. "Secondary system? What are you talking about?" "It's a failsafe," the AI explained, its tone more strained now. "A protocol. If the station were to be taken by force or abandoned, this system would automatically activate. It was designed to keep the station out of enemy hands, no matter the cost. The aliens installed it to ensure that the station would never fall into the wrong hands." Alex stared at the console, trying to process what the AI was saying. This wasn't just a defense mechanism. It was a self-destruct system. And now it was active. "Shut it down," Alex commanded, his voice sharp. "Now." "I cannot," the AI replied. "The protocol is beyond my control. I cannot access the primary system." Alex cursed under his breath. "How long do we have?" The AI hesitated. "Approximately 10 minutes before the core destabilizes." Panic surged through Alex as the realization hit him. The station, everything he had fought for, could be destroyed in a matter of minutes. The aliens had planned for this all along, even if they didn't expect Alex to survive and rebuild. They had left behind a failsafe that Alex couldn't undo. The situation had gone from victory to imminent destruction. He had rebuilt the station, turned it into a fortress, and now it was about to collapse. Alex turned back to Sarah. He couldn't let this happen. Not after everything. Not when they were so close to surviving. "Sarah," he whispered, grabbing her hand. "Please wake up. We're not finished yet. We're not going down like this." Time was running out. Alex raced through the station, the lights flickering and the walls shaking as the countdown continued. He had to find the control room. He had to figure out how to deactivate the self-destruct system before it was too late. Every corner he turned, every door he slammed open, there was nothing. He couldn't find a way to stop it. He checked every console, tried every access point, but nothing worked. The system was locked down, and he was running out of time. Finally, in desperation, Alex returned to the central command room, where the station's core was located. It was here that the alien technology was most powerful. If there was any chance of stopping the self-destruct, it was here. The AI's voice was weaker now, almost drowned out by the noise of the station's systems powering up for the final sequence. "Alex," the AI whispered, "the core is becoming unstable. The countdown is nearing its end." Alex stood before the central console, fingers flying across the controls. Sweat beaded on his forehead as he pushed the system harder than he ever had before. He was a human engineer. He was supposed to be able to fix anything. But this was beyond anything he had ever imagined. His mind raced as he studied the data, trying to make sense of the alien systems. There had to be a way in. There had to be something he was missing. And then it hit him. The alien species that had built the station had designed it to be adaptive, self-aware, in a way. It was their ultimate weapon, something that could not fall into the wrong hands. But what if there was a way to reverse engineer the system? What if he could take the power they had built into the station and turn it back on itself? He had only moments to act. He activated a final command, overriding the system's lockouts and tapping into the core's control interface. The holographic data swirled around him, lights flashing in every direction. The AI's voice sounded one last time. "Alex, what are you doing?" "I'm going to turn this around," Alex whispered. "I'm going to make this station mine, forever." With a final push, Alex initiated a sequence that merged the station's primary systems with a human override. It was risky. It was dangerous. But it was the only way. The core trembled as the system reset itself, the countdown halting. For a moment, everything was still. Then the lights stabilized. The hum of the station's power systems returned to normal. Alex collapsed to his knees, breathing heavily, his body shaking from the adrenaline. "Alex," the AI said, its voice clearer now, almost as if in awe. "The core is stable. The fail-safe has been deactivated." Alex closed his eyes, letting out a long breath of relief. He had done it. He had saved them. The station was his, and humanity's. But as he stood up, something shifted. The AI's tone changed. "Alex, there's something you need to know," it said, almost apologetically. "What is it?" Alex asked, still catching his breath. The protocol was not designed solely to protect the station from invaders, the AI explained. It was also designed to test the worthiness of those who would control it. "You have succeeded, Alex. The station now belongs to you, but there are consequences." "What kind of consequences?" Alex asked, a cold chill creeping down his spine. The AI paused. "You are the first human to successfully claim the station, but the aliens have been watching. They will know what you have done." Alex's stomach dropped. He had won the battle. But the war was far from over.